Hi Blended fans, in this tutorial what we're going to do is I'm just going to show you how we actually make our wooden planter, but this is a bit more long form and I'm going to add a bit more description to this. So what I've done is actually set my scene and the units to metric, and I've set it to millimeters because what we're going to do is mimic the sizes that you can actually find CLS timber in B&Q at or other wood places, because CLS timber is pretty uniform, quite straight, and is perfect for making a planter out of. So in this case, what we're going to do is we're going to actually set the sizes of our planter. I believe it's, just look at it. Right, so it can be found in 63 mils high. So let's just change that to 63. 63 mils high, it's 38 wide. So we'll just change that to 38, and it comes in 2.4 meters long. But if you actually ask them nicely and they've got a chop saw, they can actually cut it down to 4470 millimeters, and this will make our basis for our planter. So I'll just show you that. So as you can see, the actual scale is not uniform, so we're just going to actually fix the scale by pressing Ctrl and A. Fix rotation and scale, and we've easily made our planter. So as you can see, that's one. So CLS timber comes with a bevel to start with, but what we're going to do is we're just going to actually bevel it like you'd see it in the actual store. So I'm just going to tab into edit mode, and I'm just going to select the outside runs of this. So I just want to go onto these lines, and we're just going to add a bevel like you'd have for real once you've actually cut this down from the 2.4 meter length that it generally tends to come in. So Ctrl and B just to add the bevel, and I'm just going to, it's about a 3mm bevel, I think, like that, and I've set that to 3 segments. So quickly and easily, this actually has just made a simple bevel. I'll just shade smooth that, and as you can see, we've made our piece of wood. I'm just going to Ctrl and R just to move it to the edge, just so it looks better when we add our colour. And we'll add another loop cut to this side by selecting line, Ctrl and R, and GG just to move that. And as you can see, it becomes a bit more pronounced. So we've got our simple piece of wood, and what we're going to do now is duplicate it. So Shift and D, rotating the Z. In the B&Q that I went for this, they actually cut this down to 470 for me, so it was a real help when making this. But I often use my own chop saw, but in this case I just got them to cut that in store for me. I'm just gonna go into this edge because I don't quite like it. So go on, select this piece of wood, into tab, go on face select, and what we're going to do is in fact E and to scale, and I'm just going to add that kind of shape on that side just to make it look a little bit better in this case. So let's just do extrude and S to extrude, S to scale. Doing 2 on a line like that ends up with a cleaner mesh, and I'm just going to delete this and start again. So what we've got there is we've got our basis for making our wooden planter in Blender in this case, but you can actually make this in real life by getting the wood cut for you, or you can actually cut it yourself with your chop saw. So rotate on the Z by 90, and I'm just going to Shift and D, rotate in the Z by 90 just to make a cross like that, and just move this over here until it matches up. Now you can press the full stop key just to actually zoom in on things, or you can actually do what I'm doing now, and I'm just scrolling my mouse wheel up so I can actually just place this in the correct position, which is about there. And then Shift and D, rotate in the Z by 90, and just move it into place like this. So you lay the first one, you build this upside down because it hides all your screws. And Shift and D, rotate in the Z by 90. I'm just going to move the last one piece into place, and G, and I'm looking from the top here by pressing the 7 key on your keypad, and I'm just going to actually align these a little bit closer, and G and Y just to actually put it just there into place. Go to the end just to make sure I'm actually lined up, which I am in this case. So we've got our base shape, and then all you do is make lots of these shapes, but you don't actually screw anything together. what we do is we lay one across there and across there. So I'm just going to Shift and D, and in fact I'll join these together. Shift and D, rotate on the X by 180. I don't know why it did it on the Z then. Rotate on the X by 180. Shift and D just to duplicate it. G and Z just to move it up in the air. Just looking at that, I know it's not very central, and we can actually re-centralize it in a second. But as you can see, these are lined up so it wouldn't actually work. So we rotate this on the X by 180 and then line them back up. As you can see, they're not lined up. G and Y, just to line them back up to there. Let's just press the full stop key and the 1 key just to make sure that I'm lined up. G and Z, just to move it down. And as you can see, everything's not centered, so I'm just going to join these together and just go into Object, Set Origin, 3D, Center of Mass, just like that. And I'm just going to centralize this on the X and centralize it on the Y, just to actually put everything back into place. And then all we need to do to make our planter is we can duplicate these another 2 times. The way this works is that you put a screw in the end into there, which locks that, one into there, which does extra locking, or in the center, it's up to you, and then one to there, and then you carry on all the way around. And you make this upside down because what we're doing is actually hiding all of our screws even. We're hiding all of our screws. So Shift and D just to duplicate it. G and Z just to move it up like that, and I'm just going to Shift and D, G and Z just to make it 6i in this case, which means that this planter is now, as you can see, just over half a meter wide and is more or less finished. So quickly join these together, join, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of these pieces by going into edit mode by pressing the tab key, going on line select, which is found up here, and pressing the L key just to shift and duplicate this. So Shift and D, which duplicates this, and then I can separate it by pressing the P key by selection. So now we've got a shorter piece, and I'm just going to scale this on the X until it's about the right size. Looking from the top, I'm just going to press the 7 key and G and just scale it till it's about the right size, which of course you do this by actually cutting some of the pieces down slightly, and this is going to be the support. So Shift and D, duplicate that, look from the top by pressing the 7 key. The screws in this case actually go from here and into this wood, and as long as they're over 38 mil in length, I usually do them to about 50, just so you've got a good hold on the actual wood, which you can actually buy at the same place as you buy your wood normally. And I'm just going to move this one piece, G and Y, just to move the duplicated piece down to here. And we've got a little gap in there, so G and Y just to move it a bit further, just so it rests against there. So we've now made our planter. Duplicate this again, Shift and D. In this case, the planter's all made out of this CLS timber that already comes with a bevel, so it actually looks really good when you make the planter out of it. Rotate on the Z by 90. Looking from the top, we're going to rotate on the rotate on the X, by 90. Blender doesn't seem to be working today, so rotate on the Y by 90, like that, and we can actually move these into place. So G, just move it to there. Go into X-ray mode, just look from the side, and we'll just move this down so it's over our pieces of wood. And as you can see, our supporting pieces are there. I'm just going to look from the side and G and Z just to move it down, just so it's over our supports, just like that. And of course, in this case, you screw from the bottom so the actual water does not collect in the actual screw holes. And what we can do now is just Shift and D just to duplicate this a number of times, leaving gaps to let your water get out. Shift and D, G and X, I'm just moving it over, just leaving little gaps. Shift and D, G and X. I use some porous material, Shift and D, G and X, just to actually stop the actual soil dropping out through our gaps. Shift and D, G and X, just like so. And then all we need to do then is actually just space them out so they're about where we want them to be. We slight gaps in them, like I say, just to let the water out of the bottom of your planter, which of course will prevent the rot. So quickly and easily we've made our planter, but of course if this were resting on the ground, then of course it would be getting wet. So I'm just going to duplicate one piece, Shift and D, G and Y, G and Z, move it down like that. And I'm going to make this, instead of 424, I'm going to make it 63 wide, which makes these little square feet, which will actually be used to actually put our planter up in the air, just like this. So quickly and easily, Shift and D, just to actually put 4 of these, Shift and D, I'm just plonking them on the actual corners like that. And of course that's it, our planter is finished, but of course it's upside down. So select all of them. Oh, that one's a bit squiffy, so I'm just going to G and X, move it over so it lines up with the others, just like that. And then join them all together by going on box select up here, selecting all our pieces, and then right click and join. So now it's upside down, so rotate on the X by 180. I'm going to re-centralize this now. Object, set origin to massive surface. And of course we can actually now centralize our box back in our scene. G and Z. And that's it. That's how you quickly and easily make a planter. And of course all screws are hidden, which actually stops the rot getting in. And it makes quite a good planter. Now it's up to you. You can make this as big or as small as you want. And it depends what you want for your planter. And of course the length, in this case it's nearly ½ meter wide, but you can make them as big or as small as you wish. Hope you enjoyed the tutorial. Like I say, it'd be nice for if you can actually get these put to length for you, which will save you a lot of work. And all it costs you is the actual CLS timber and a few screws. And of course, if you wish to glue these together, you can do as well, but it's entirely up to you. Gluing them together stops the rot getting into the wood and makes it easier to actually paint it once you've finished. In my case, I tend to actually varnish this with Cuprinol or some other recognised brand. Thank you for joining me on this tutorial. I hope you found it useful, and bye for now.